Animar, Soul of Elements, protection from white and from black. Whenever you cast a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And creatures you control cost 1 less for each +1/+1 counter on Animar. Classic commander, fantastic teamer commander. It's so cool. But I had this thought. What if, instead of using this to cast giant Eldrazi's and stuff for free for very little cost, what if we did vanilla creatures? This deck is probably not going to be great, but I've play tested it a couple times, and I think it's just kind of fun. I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of work that could be put into this, but for just a short notice deck that I thought for myself, I think this is pretty cool. There are 19 bread and butter creatures in the deck. They are all vanilla, with the exception of 2. So we got Animar as the commander, and then the bear. Where's the bear? We'll go to the bear to show you real quick. Ruxa, Patient Professor. That one has to be in the deck, because it's utility, gives all your creatures and no abilities +1/+1, and then they can assign combat damage as though they weren't blocked. So this is more of a finisher, but the restriction was the rest of the creatures in the deck could only be vanilla, which I thought was a fun challenge. Yes, this is Bellaluna's Gatekeeper, and it does have an adventure, but adventures are not abilities. That's just like a separate little thing. So Bellaluna's Gatekeeper acts as a targeted removal and a vanilla creature. That's kind of fun. And every single one that I've added has a higher power than toughness, except for Hexplate Golem, but that one could be cast for free with Animar. The rest of them are either equal or higher. Bellaluna's Gatekeeper, Colossopede, Gigantosaurus, Hexblade Golem, Nyxborn Brute, Panther Warriors, Primordial Worm, Scoria Elemental, Scaled Worm, Ruination Worm, Raging Poltergeist, Quilled Slag Worm, Quake Strider Ceratops, Prize Fighter, Construct, Streetbaker Worm, Terror of the Fairgrounds. No Terror of the Peaks here, but there is a Terror of the Fairgrounds. Twin Veil Treefolk also has an adventure. 2 +1/+1 counters on Animar, and then you make these cheaper. Vorst Claw and Whiptail Worm. All pretty cool, but high power, low toughness, kind of for some of them. That comes into play a little bit later. With card draw here, Garruk's Uprising specifically there. That's creatures with power 4 or greater. That's pretty much everything in here. In fact, let's look right here. Yeah, everything is higher than 4, which means Garruk's Uprising is always going to trigger, and it gives all our things trample. Basically, we have to run a lot of enablers to make things actually work, because all the creatures are vanilla, so we have to add things to them. And then we got Frantic Search and Chemist's Insight, Quick Study. These will just draw us 2 cards. Frantic Studies does a couple more things. Draw 2, discard 2, untap 3 lands. Pretty awesome. Eureka Moments, draw another 2, and put a land from hand on the battlefield. And then Bond of Flourishing, the top 3, put a permanent into your hand. Same with Anticipate and Adventure Awaits. They're slightly different. Anticipate's pretty close to this one. Adventure Awaits, you reveal the top 5 and put a creature in your hand if you want to. If you don't put a creature in, you just draw a card. Ignite the Future, exile top 3 of your library. It says Impulse, draw 3. And then if you use the flashback cost, you can cast those all for free. That's pretty cool. Opt, scry 1, draw, ponder. We got to keep ahead in this deck because there's not much going on. So we have to make it so that there are things going on. So looking ahead's pretty important. Reckless Impulse, Impulse, draw 2 until your next turn. I know that's kind of why I went into Anticipate, Adventure Awaits, Bond, Flourishing, stuff like that, because I want to be able to look down a few cards in my hand and then be able to get ahead as if I can. Enablers, like I said, there's a lot of enablers. Chroma's Memorial. Come on. We got to give our creatures something, and this gives them Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and Pro Black and Red. So this is important. Gaia's Anthem, +1/+1. Creatures with no abilities with Muruganda petroglyphs. Gives all our creatures +2/+2. This one's a double-edged sword, though, because if there's a token deck, those most of the time don't have abilities. So this buffs them as well, but ours will probably be bigger, hopefully. Gruul War Chant gives our attacking creatures +1/+0 and Menace. So that's really nice. Prismatic Omen. We need something to get the lands going. I don't know, I always base decks on what I have, and I want to keep decks cheap so people aren't intimidated by the prices. But this just makes all our abilities, or all our lands, tap for any color, basically. And yeah. It's pretty cool. I love it. Temur Ascendancy, kind of the same as Garruk's Uprising, with whenever Power 4 Greater enters, we draw a card. But then it also gives our creatures haste, which I feel like is important in this kind of a thing, or else it's just real slow and clunky. Warstorm Surge. When our creatures enters, deals damage equal to its power to any target. All of our creatures have a pretty big power, so that could be fun. That could deal some damage on top of whatever else we're doing. Finishers, we've got our Ruxa Patient Professor, so our creatures can just assign their damage to anything without any fuss. Bluster Squall and Turnabout. These tap things, and then we can swing in for the win. Turnabout taps artifacts, creatures, or lands. And yeah. Or we can untap permanents of that type. So we could untap our own lands to do more. Yeah, anyway. Dragon Throne of Tarkir. This we could give to one of our creatures, and then we can pay 2 and tap it. And then all our creatures will gain +X/+X and trample, where X is that creature's power. So we can add that to our friggin' Ceratops here, give it +12/+12, or we could just attach it to Animar. So then it's, it gets bigger and bigger, and then protection from white and black already, and then it's just got Defender. Yeah, that could just be pretty fun. And then, of course, Overwhelming Stampede. Our things have pretty high power, so things are going to get +X/+X and trample again for 5 mana, and then we swing in for a lot, and that works really well with Ruxa. Flex spots, we've got our Collective Resistance, so we can escalate it to choose one or more, destroy an artifact or an enchantment, and or target creature gets hexproof and indestructible, which helps for Animar. Worldly Tutor, if we really need to search for Ruxa, that's basically what that's in there for. If Ruxa's already out, we could search for Ceratops or Quilled Slagworm or something with high power and toughness. But yeah, mostly to get Ruxa out. You happen upon a Glade, so we can search for up to 2 basics into our hand, or return a permanent from our graveyard to our hand. It's kind of nice. Lands, I got 37. Again, I took out some of the higher ones because I wanted to keep the deck list low, because it's a vanilla creature deck. Most of the cost comes from Chroma's Memorial. And I was just looking at it. Worldly Tutor. So then the rest of the stuff is fairly low. Mass Removal, we got a Blasphemous Act, just in case. Counterspell, protect our things. Gaia's Gift, +1/+1 counter on Animar, and gives it reach, trample, and hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Heroic Intervention gives all our creatures hexproof and indestructible. Horde Vigor, target user against death touch and indestructible. So yeah, got to protect Animar, because if you've ever played Animar, it's gone the moment it hits the field. Ramp, I got a bunch of stuff. We got Bauble, Key, Soul Ring, just kind of standard stuff, and then Rampant Growth, Flare of Cultivation, Antish Restoration, Celebrate the Harvest, and Spring to Mind. Spring is fun because you can search for it's basically a Rampant Growth stapled to Quick Study, but we could cast that from our graveyard, so that's pretty nice, just in case we need something later. Again, we got to stay ahead. Targeted Removal, I put Cyclonic Rift in here. I don't know why, but I mean, it counts as both, right? So we can return all non-land permanents to their hands, our opponents, or just a targeted one. You know, that feels bad when you do that, though. Crows and Grip, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Yeah, split second. So yeah, I feel like I need to somehow narrow this down a little bit better. Put in more removal, put in some extra things maybe that make it a little better. Let me know what you think in the comments, and make sure you check out that TCGplayer affiliate link and the Milkman Proxy affiliate link to get those things. And then use the code in the description to be able to get 15% off at Milkman Proxies on everything at the store. And I will catch you guys next week for your weekly dose of magic.